Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. Welcome back. It's Tuesday. Jesus. Those who don't understand, they were doing the Haka in New Zealand in response to a Indian protest slash deal in the middle of the streets. Kiwis are saying, Kiwis first. If you think what's happening in the United States is any different than what's happening around the world, the George Soros, the Open Society, the World Economic Forum, the Rothschilds, all of these people who have been putting the American people and people in the UK and people in Ireland and people in New Zealand and people in Australia have been putting them in a box and saying, you don't matter. While they bring people from countries that get to take from us what was never theirs to take. It's a worldwide feeling. We're not talking about racism. There's nothing racist about being proud of the country that you're in. Black, white, green, yellow. We have been stepping over the people that are the poorest among us in the United States and bringing other people that are poor from other nations into this country so that they can eat what was never theirs to eat. And while the left uses the narrative of racist, bigot, Homophobe. Like, give it to me. Give me all of them. All they've done is created a resilience where now the American people are pissed. And do you think it matters if you're black or white or Indian? No. I was talking to my friend Anil. He's from India. He grew up in a very hard family. I got to meet his kids. We were sitting in the suite together. And we just started talking about what it meant to have that American ethos. He gets it. Second generation, conservative man, one that understands this perversion that we face. And he's like, Joe, this is just, it's not normal, it's evil. He's Indian. He's my brother. Heck, I got a gay married Jewish father of two. He's my business partner. And you'd say, he's a Democrat. And I would tell you he's more of an American than a lot of the people out there that ride this rhino/establishment train of self-gratification. We are slaves on their plantation. We don't own our houses. We don't own our cars. You don't own anything. They can tax you, fee you to death. They can take from you whatever they want because you don't have free and fair elections. We're not the only ones. When they talked about the fact that there was over 70 countries, whistleblowers came out and said over 70 countries in the world, our CIA betrayed, committed treason, sedition, stole the sovereignty of those nations, put people in positions of power, and created the very problem that President Trump is trying to unscramble right now. Barack Hussein Obama gave $150 billion to Iran to grow their nuclear arsenal, betraying the very people in our country and putting American lives at risk. We lost soldiers going on an offensive. And I'm not going to tell you that I agree with doing anything with Israel, because I don't. I'm not Israel first. I'm America first. I'm with my black brothers, my brown brothers, my white sisters, my black sisters, my brown sisters. I'm with them. But if you just came here and you want to call us racist and have some white liberal stand on a corner and say we shouldn't be in Iran, man, you could just piss right the hell off. You're not American. You're an EBIT for clowns and pieces of trash that run this Democrat Socialists of America, Antifa, and whatever else you little queers decide you want to talk about. You're not strong, you're weak. That's why you do things like create terrorist activities and electoral terrorism. Greatest thing that Jared ever said to me. Jared Jordan, this guy is amazing. We were on the phone. He goes, Joe, what they've done is electoral terrorism. They didn't just do it here, though. They did it around the world. And the feeling that you are slaves is not just in it's not just in New Zealand. It's not just in the United States. It's in Ireland, too. Let's go ahead and play it.
Getting keys to our new house, Dublin, Ireland.
कोरे कोरे सपने मेरे बरसों से थे कितने अधूरे धीरे धीरे रंग सजा के तूने कर दिए उनको पूरे वादा है वादा चाहेंगे तुमको जीवन से ज्यादा है वादा वादा कोरे कोरे सपने मेरे बरसों से थे कितने अधूरे.
So just so you know, again, you have people from other nations that are coming into Ireland and buying houses for cash, while the people of Ireland can't afford to even pay attention. The poverty level's risen by almost 13% over the last 5 years of people that live there. Taxes, man, it's a never-ending battle there just to keep money that you have. Matter of fact, many Irish go underground in order to make a living because they can't make a living out in the open. And little by little, the Irish government has done what the Canadian government has done, what the Australian government has done, and they have literally said, you will do as I say or we will throw you in jail, while letting criminals run the streets. Does it sound familiar? Because that's what's happening in the United States as well. This is not just a singular problem. This is a problem that we have that is global. See, while they have actually pushed this new world order and told us everything that we need to know, and you better believe this or believe this, and if you don't believe this, people in the United States are so stupid, they don't even know what the Constitution is. Couldn't tell you how many articles there are in the Constitution. They couldn't even tell you what it actually says. They get stuck on my freedom of speech, the right to remain silent, and the right to bear arms, leaving behind most of the other rights that give you the ability to have sovereignty. But we don't have sovereignty. Here, an Irishman confronts Muslims after he discovers an underground mosque. He's pretty upset. Let's go ahead and play it.
Allah is not welcome in Ireland. No Mohammedism in Ireland.
So here's the problem. It's not Muslims that are the problem. It's the fact that they come here to turn it into the shithole that they came from. That's the problem. And they come here to basically convert and to take away what isn't theirs. They don't want to assimilate. They don't want to just coexist. And we have a system that was designed to flood our country with people who have radical ideas. And again, it's not just Muslims. It's not just, you have a whole Somali community that basically runs organized crime up in St. Paul and Minneapolis. It's been around there for over 20 years. They literally force businesses to actually pay them a vig. Go look it up. Or they will burn your building and your business to the ground and make sure nobody comes in. And you'd say, Joe, you know, that's their culture. There are entire camps, basically call them ISIS camps, that exist on our own soil. And I will say again, I have lots of Muslim friends, but they're a part of the have-nots too, the same have-nots that we are. Irishmen can't afford to even pay rent. Irishmen can't afford to pay rent. And they're coming in and buying out entire buildings. Because tax dollars in Ireland are being funneled to nonprofits and organizations that then give the money to foreigners so that they can literally displace the people that have been there for generations. We have a problem. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that we're slaves on a plantation. No one wants to talk about the fact that it's not just Americans that are upset. Same playbook is being used in every country. Same playbook of persecution, same playbook of the media just pushing down and calling them racist and bigots. I am no racist. I am no bigot. I am not a homophobe. I don't care if you like to have sex with farm animals. I feel bad for the farm animals, and frankly, I think you should probably go to jail for it because there's something wrong with you. But what you decide to do in a bedroom has nothing to do with me. Check this out. Check out what's happening in France. Go ahead and play it.
Voilà, à bobo de sarcelle. Voilà, la bobo de sarcelle, ce qui est pas normal. Donc il faut que les autorités nous aident à nous débarrasser de ce genre de situation.
So this is what diversity looks like. And if you look at the doctors, engineers, you look at the things that are going on in the schools right now in France. Well, let's go ahead and look at the schools in France for a minute. Let's go ahead and look at that. We are seeing our society literally dissolve right before our eyes. And where are the men? Where are the men? You know, we want to train for what? We want to say that our Democrat brothers and sisters are actually our problem. It's not our problem. We have no ethos. We have no character of a community that we can hold on to. We're no longer hunters, we're hunter. We stand singularly inside of a group trying to figure out what our identity is. And God forbid you tell someone what your identity is, because frankly, more than likely, they're going to tell you that that's a racist or a homophobic thing to say. It's gotten to the point now where I had someone say something to me. They said, "Oh, you're just a racist." And I said, "Say it again." You said you're, I was already heated. I said, "Call me a racist again." And I got really close to him. I said, "Say it one more time." And he wouldn't say it. And I was telling my friend about this, and I was like, look, I don't think I've ever gotten to the point where I was so angry at a person, a coward, that wants to use words and change the vernacular and what things actually mean when you're just calling out the systematic destruction of our communities and our country, the stealing of our ethos, and the thing that makes us so special in this country, which is we are a Christian nation. You got people in New Zealand, people in Ireland, you got people in the UK, you got people in Canada, you got people in the US that are building brotherhoods. It's happening. I know I was in a meeting last night. And we're saying, look, we're finished. And the Constitution is clear, by the way, in the United States. We have this thing that says when the country itself goes off in a direction that ignores the laws and goes into a lawless environment, you have a right to throw them out. And you would say, Joe, you're calling for what? Anarchy? No. I'm calling for a return to decency. In Colorado right now, let me just tell you, I was just having a conversation with Scott Bottoms, who's also running for governor. And I was like, Scott, they're creating a registry for prostitutes in Colorado. They want to pass a law that makes it legal for prostitution to exist so that they can further demean and take away the very spirit of what a woman means, what it means to be a woman. Then they're going to create that registry and they're going to make people pay the state of Colorado. Listen to me on this. Pay the state of Colorado in order to be on that registry so that you are legal. So now the state of Colorado gets to become their pimp. You don't pay the state of Colorado, you're operating illegally as a prostitute. You can be arrested. But if you pay the state of Colorado, then we'll let you operate out there and lose your own dignity. And we haven't even started talking about the problem that exists by doing that, by giving an entire Rolodex to all the pimps that are out there. And these women are already in a place where the only thing that they have left is to sell their body. So why not hand it over? Why not hand over your sovereignty as a person to the state of Colorado and some pimp on the street that wants to have a train run on that individual? See, first we legalized marijuana. We said it's not a gateway to anything. Then we said we legalized gay marriage. Civil unions, you could have done whatever you wanted, but they had to make it marriage so that they could basically just steal the vernacular of what it means to be married. Not taking away from anyone that's in the same sex. We act as if that is the biggest sin to exist. I want to remind you guys of something. The top 10 URLs in the United States are porn sites. Do you think that's because we got a bunch of people that don't actually go out there and masturbate in a room to a bunch of videos that they find on porn sites? No, it's because we have a problem in our country with men, specifically, going and hanging out and letting boys, small young men, who are then taught to sexualize things in school, run amok on watching porn. We have a degradation problem because we have no men acting like men. They're too busy hanging out in closets and not spending time with their families. Too busy out there doing the things like saying I'm making a living. And it doesn't help the fact that the government takes 56 cents on every dollar, so the man has to go out there literally and live off 44 cents on the dollar. Can't figure out how to make things work 95% of the time. And God forbid we not have judges that throw around their weight and destroy fathers that go in as they're getting divorced and say, we're going to take everything else from you and hand it to the mother and leave you with barely enough to survive. So not only do you take the dignity of the man, but you deball him in the process as well and make it almost impossible for him to be a father. Yeah, I don't know why I see things so clearly, but I do. Americans are constantly being stepped over, ignored, and just put in harm's way because they're Americans. And let's talk about the fact that they want to steal your Second Amendment rights. Let's talk about the fact that 40% of the budget in Colorado itself is just entitlements that go to nonprofit organizations for no-show jobs. And we talked about this yesterday. I was drained yesterday just hearing all the stuff that was happening in Iran because, frankly, don't we have enough on our plate? We can't solve the problems that we have going on in our community. We have our kids that are getting raped on a regular basis inside of schools by people that we send to school to say, hey, listen, trust your teacher. That's worked out real well. And they use the Stockholm Syndrome and the battering and the bullying and what can only be described as psychological warfare against our children, and we sit there and we watch it happen. And now there's a movement of men, military men, men that are capable of great violence, who don't choose violence. I don't choose violence, but we're capable of it, who want to have a conversation about what isn't ridiculous. And this movement in the United States is so God-centered. Well, they basically beat on us. You know, I ran for governor of Colorado, and I have hardly done anything over the last 6 weeks since I got involved in this. And I was having conversations with people, and they're like, Joe, you have no idea how far ahead you are and how much momentum you have. And you haven't even done anything. And I was like, well, that's because I'm listening to people, because I'm doing the hard work and looking underneath every rug. I'm doing what President Trump did in his first term while he was beaten and smacked and torn apart. I'm doing the same thing he did in his second term. See, President Trump is a beacon of light. And you can not like some of the decisions that he makes and still respect the fact that he, through all the beatings and the 4 years in between, of persecution, being dehumanized, accused of things that he never did, with frankly people that nobody would do anything with. I mean, the woman that named her dog or cat Regina. That's the person that he went into a place with and had sex with. That makes sense perfectly, right? Yeah, that happened. That never happened. And then they on a defamation, they gave her $40 million with just her word. Can't tell you what year it happened, but yeah, where they turned misdemeanors into felonies and had lawyers get in there and just I don't even know how it got past step one. But what it did is it exposed the judiciary for being rotted all the way to the core, and a lack of oversight and a lack of accountability inside the judiciary that, frankly, has put a pin's eye on the fact that they should not have judicial immunity, ever. We're now open to the idea of the truth that is, it's not the police officers that are the problem. It's the rotted DAs and the rotted judges and this fraternity they've built that screws the American people every time you turn around. They get to do it for free. And they get to walk in the back, and most of them are masochists that love to watch others suffer. Let me just show you how we treat American citizens here at home. And let me use this as an example if I can. Nearly $3 billion was spent on homelessness in the state of Colorado in 2025. In 2026, that will balloon to almost $4.5 billion. Now, for $4.5 billion, you should have a few buildings to show for it. You should have massive amounts of entitlements for people that give them access to training, that can get them off of drugs and alcohol, can put them in a better place, maybe get them a dentist, maybe create some doctors, create some transactional environments that will take care of, let me just tell you how many people? At most 75,000 people. You should have a plan for those people. 75,000 people. If you look at the number of people that we have in Colorado and the amount of money we spent $161,000 per person. You're like, Joe, no. Remember, you already looked at it before. It was 1.2 to 1.6 billion that they spent on homelessness, and that averaged out to be somewhere between 50,000 and 70,000 per person. And then I decided that I needed to look at the budgets that were spent on each one of the counties that we have out there, and the city and county of Denver. And then I had to look at the state budgets and how much of that money went to actually go towards the Denver budget. And I was like, this is absurd, $161,000. But I want to talk to you about how a homeless person this is an American that lives in New York City. I think he made bad choices to become homeless 85, 90% of the time. But I still think we should have enough dignity for the people in our country that we do something about it. There are Americans. They're our people. Good, bad, or indifferent, they're our people. Play it.
Have you ever been offered a free hotel room in New York City?
Never. When I save up, that's what I do. I save up and I go to a hotel room, and it's the cheapest hotel where they piss in the air conditioner, they spit on the walls. It's terrible.
So you use the money that you collect on the streets here to every once in a while go in a hotel and spend the night to have a good night's sleep, where right down the street here, thousands of migrants are being put up.
I used to sleep in front of the Roosevelt Hotel. I mean, like on the side. And I'm afraid to go there and sleep now because I know they won't even, the security guards from the hotel will come and they won't even let me sleep in the street. They will not even let me sleep in the street. Okay? They get living for free inside the hotel. They won't even let me sleep on the street right in front of the hotel. They will come out there and kick me out. And if I don't leave, they will get violent with me. And the migrants will not respect me even for sleeping in the street. I go to the McDonald's over there. A lot of times on the street, they come by, they disrespect me for no reason. A lot of them, they laugh in my face. Literally. It's insane. There is no justice. There is no law, no justice. People even assault me right in front of the police. And the cops don't even do anything. I sleep in the street, they're so abusive.
But here's another illegal with over 30 criminal charges was arrested for murdering a woman in Virginia. 30 previous criminal charges. 30. Play it.
A Virginia woman was killed at a Fairfax County bus stop. We're learning the man charged in her murder is in the U.S. illegally. His name is Abdul Jallo from Sierra Leone, according to the Department of Homeland Security. I'm at the Fairfax County Courthouse where I discovered this man has a lengthy criminal history. More than 40 charges in the past, ranging from stabbings to malicious wounding and much more. And almost every case, Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Toscano dropped charges against this man. Only secured one conviction in the past. He served very little time. He was let back out into the community where then he allegedly stabbed this woman of Fredericksburg. Now, this woman's family is heartbroken. According to an obituary, her family describes this woman, Stephanie Mentor, as a jolly, happy individual, a light in dark places. And tonight, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is calling on Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger and Fairfax County officials to hand this man over to ICE so they can deport him.
40. I was wrong. It wasn't 30, it was 40. Our leaders are not elected, they are selected. President Trump is doing what he can to, but it's going to take people in our communities to do something about it. I've been meeting with Democrats. People are like, Joe, why are you meeting with Democrats? Just hang out with Republicans. I got a video, by the way, of a woman, KK, that sent me a video. She sent me a video, and it's of her cousin, I think, who got in a fight at a Waffle House. That it never ends well. You start talking about fights at Waffle House, and he punched this guy, knocked him out. He gets arrested. Now, this guy doesn't have a squeaky clean history. He doesn't. He's got some baggage. He's got some, he's been out of prison for 9.5 years. You say, Joe, why are people sending you stuff of a criminal going to prison? He's going to give him 20 years. And the guy behind him, he was drunk, didn't want to press charges. So, I probably shouldn't have said that. Called him the N-word with a hard R. So I watched this video, 47 minutes. 2 days before he was going into Douglas County, Colorado, probably one of the most whitest places out there. And the judge calls him a menace to society. He's got some mental health issues. He's got 13 kids. He never saw a baby mama he didn't like. He'd say, Joe, why are you having conversation with those people? I was like, I don't know why she sent me that. I didn't know her. But people said, hey, you need to send this stuff over to Joe. He'll look into it. So I went down to Douglas County. I sent them stuff over to say, all right, I need to go meet with RJ and have a conversation with him. Why would I take time out of my day to go meet with a guy that's a perpetual criminal? He's been on the street. He's been out for 9.5 years. Hasn't had, he's had some petty stuff that he's done. But again, he's an American that's never been given opportunity because we don't even have mental health facilities. We don't have them. I'm disgusted by the fact that we cater to the ridiculous. Just so you know, in Colorado, the most important thing to the people of Colorado is that we shut down pet stores that have dogs and cats. It's a real thing. And not only are they legalizing prostitution and making it so you can rape 3 children before you actually go to jail and you're not eligible for probation, they're also doing this thing to get rid of what they call puppy mills. There's only 6 puppy stores, by the way, only 6 pet stores in the state of Colorado, and they're stopping what they're doing in this session to put all 6 of those puppy stores out of business because it favors the shelters. Because then you can just go to the shelters that, basically has become this windmill of cash that then gives no-show jobs, and the same people that show up in Antifa work for these shelters. I'm not kidding. It's basically a front for radical leftists. They get free money from the people of Colorado. I'm going to get back on this part that we're talking about right here, because I think that the contempt for the American people extends to all Americans. It does not just extend to, and by the way, the people that stand up there that say that, we want to protect our immigrants, our immigrant friends that are coming in, bleed your heart. Well, they step over people that are Americans, veterans. I mean, just shit on people that are basically getting stabbed and murdered by illegals, and then saying, well, let's make sure that we make it really hard for DHS and ICE to do their job. Here, a Republican, just to show you how much contempt these leaders that are selected and elected. By the way, there is not a free and fair election in the United States of America at all. You got ranked choice voting to make you tap on your head, rub on your belly. That's one of the ways they do it. You got mail-in votes in all these different states that don't require you to have an ID. 223 votes, electoral votes, by the way, for the presidency come from states where you don't have to have an ID. They're basically stealing your voice. You are a slave. But this rep in Maine tried to read a proclamation honoring Americans killed by illegal immigrants. And let me show you how the Dems handled it. Let's play it.
We remember and honor the thousands of American lives stolen from us by criminal illegal aliens and the deadly drugs they bring across our borders.
The member will defer. The chair inquires as to the representative's point of order.
Aren't we in the middle of announcements that are important for this body to be aware of? I don't understand the purpose of this.
Speaker has allowed latitude for such remarks in the past, and the chair would remind all members that a motion to adjourn is always in order. The member may proceed.
Appreciate that. I am reading from a presidential proclamation, and I'm going to start from the beginning. On National Angel Family Day,
The member will defer. The chair inquires as to the representative from Blue Hill's point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I make a motion to adjourn.
51 having voted in the affirmative and 67 in the negative, the motion failed.
Yesterday, President Donald J. Trump signed a proclamation proclaiming February 22nd, National Angel Family Day 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Since I was unsuccessful in my motion to adjourn, I just wanted to remind the body that the President of the United States has 34 felony convictions, which is 34 more than anyone being detained by ICE.
This piece of shit. This piece of shit that was never elected, and a media apparatus which has betrayed the people and committed sedition under the watchful eye of Barack Hussein Obama, who in 2012 made sure we passed the ability for media and everyone else to lie to the American people. Smith Modernization Act, go look it up. Now, we haven't done anything on the Republican side in order to overturn that and make it so the media has to be honest. No, we're not doing that either. And then we went as far as to do this thing called the anti-slap motions in most states that allow for the media to lie and have complete coverage, unless your name's Joe Oltmann and you're a journalist. And then they just find that people like Eric Coomer can lie with impunity and steal elections going all the way back to 2005, and they don't do a flipping thing about it. They allow the Kabuki Theater to run through this judiciary, which is rotted to the core, that lets criminals out on the street and holds good people accountable because people are still getting 20 years. Only typically it's people that make a mistake. And the gift that keeps on giving about Democrats and Republicans, by the way, you know, this uniparty that we have in representation that gets their orders from who? The wizard behind I mean, who's Mitch McConnell getting his stuff from? Oh, that's right, AIPAC. He's got the AIPAC crew that kind of walks him around because God forbid the American people actually get what they need. But let's move past that. Let's get to the conspiracy theories that seem to always give us the truth. Let's start with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is in a deposition right now on the Epstein files. You're going to have to see this. This is Bill Clinton on Epstein.
Witnesses who testified in the Epstein cases that Epstein said, you quote, like them young. Why would Epstein say that about you?
Are you asking his opinion? You're asking him to think about why Mr. Epstein would say something about him?
Why would Epstein say that about
So she's asking you to try to be in Mr. Epstein's mind and guess at what Mr. Epstein would have thought about.
Clinton likes them young, referring to girls.
First of all, that's not true.
What's not true?
That I have any interest in underage.
I didn't say underage, I said young.
But it's still not true.
Is an intern young?
Yes.
Okay.
At my age, anybody younger than I am.
Did you know Jeffrey Epstein instructed a witness to deny you were ever on his island?
He didn't have to since I was never there.
Did you ever travel to Zorro Ranch?
Is that the one in New Mexico?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Have you ever flown on anyone else's private jet 26 times or more for overseas trips?
I have flown as many miles on other jets, but never with as many stops.
Do you believe you were a victim of a Jeffrey Epstein intel operation? Do you think that you might have been caught up in some of what he was maybe potentially doing?
Excuse me, Congressman, which question are you asking?
I'm asking
Intel operation?
First of all, I don't.
Some type of intel operation. I'm just curious because it's been speculated on today and yesterday
understand.
That he may have been an intel asset. Do you think, perhaps knowing what we know now, the proclivity of it all, that he may have been targeting you as part of an intel operation?
I doubt it.
What do you think of that? It's pretty crazy, isn't it? And Hillary didn't do any better. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's go ahead and play Hillary.
Really, I expected a lot of interesting questions today, but Pizzagate was not on my list.
That's okay. We're asking all sorts of things here.
You certainly are. You certainly are.
We're just trying to get the truth out to the American people.
Well, that
and
would
give
be
some clarity.
very helpful.
Are you aware of any files that were on Anthony Weiner's laptop in a folder that was titled insurance, life insurance, with a zip file titled frazzled?
This is way outside the chairman's ruling.
This
is this within the scope? Is this within the scope, Mr. Chairman?
If the chairman rules that it's not within the scope,
Mr. Chairman, based on what you said in the public hearing, is this within the scope?
We can go off the record for a moment.
Mr. Chairman, is this within the scope?
We get no answers. We don't get any answers because we don't have leaders. We have sock puppets. We have grifters. We have liars. We have betrayers. We have treasonous seditionists that have taken what was never theirs to take. And they used elections in order to raise taxes, take your tax dollars, pervert your children, and then tell us, by the way, that you don't own those kids, that the state does. True story. They're allowed to say and do whatever they want and act with impunity. And if you do anything about it, they'll fine you. They'll steal from you. They'll lie about you. They'll attack you. They'll come to your home. They'll send their goons out to do harm. And only when someone like me stands up, or President Trump stands up, or others stand up, who has the capability of working the problem and fixing it, do they really start to have fear? I want you to see something. Like I canceled Netflix a while ago. And we know that Obama is a part of Netflix. We know Susan Rice, the bad Susan Rice, is a part of Netflix. But I want to show you this transgenderism. By the way, these people are doing this to our population and to our children to kill babies. Kill babies. So on one side, they get to take your children away. We have parents that are running away from the school system. We have farmers that are sharecroppers on their own land being told what seed they could put in the ground. And on top of that, those that have livestock are told now you have to contend with wolves and wolverines that we're now reintroducing into the environment. Because that's what the people want. Roads are almost undrivable. Healthcare almost out of reach for every American. Remember the Affordable Care Act? Since the Affordable Care Act came into existence, healthcare is up almost 700%. Now, to just give you an idea of what that does in relation to across the board to value for you, you got less and you died faster and they pushed poison into you and then told you to shut up and sit down or they'd take everything else from you too. I'm not trying to black pill you. I'm not trying to red pill you. I'm not trying to white pill you. I'm trying to tell you the truth. While at the same time telling you that you actually can do something about it. They only get to take from you what you're willing to give them. Now, right now, if I'm being honest, you've given them too much. Everything. You've given them everything. Your children, your money, your tax dollars, your house, your car. There's nothing they have. Let me show you what Netflix is doing to our children. This is Netflix for children. Play it.
Are you coming to the street?
I'm trans, Norma.
I use a different name and pronouns.
I'm Frankie. Pronouns they, them.
As a transberry, I love living out loud as my most authentic self.
I know I'm safe when I'm with my friends or other non-binary people.
He's the undisputed champion of my heart.
My name is Charles. I stand up on the ground.
Banafi will slide that runway.
Nightshades pronouns are they, them.
He or she just doesn't fit who I am.
Welcome to your crash course in holiday self-expression.
You know, I get a lot of flack when I do the show like this, where it's just me and no guest, because they're like, Joe, you're bound to say something that's going to get you in trouble. Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm going to give you an entire show where you can, go hog wild on me. That's Netflix. That's Netflix in front of your children. That's Netflix trying to tell you that your kids need to put puberty blockers in their bodies. And now they've already taken care of the vaccines. They've already injected that poison in there that made it so that, by the way, that it used to be 1 in 800, 1 in 1,000 mothers needed help in vitro and to get pregnant. It's 1 in 30 now. You know, I sat with these Democrats and I said, how many of you, 100 women raise their hands. After you get a little bit of where people will give you information after you listen, because that's what happens when you listen. You had 100 women that put their hand in the air when I said, how many of you have had an abortion? Then I said, how many of you, if you had free health care and free child care, would still have the abortion? Only 10 hands went up. Billions of dollars went to illegals in the state of Colorado. I haven't looked at the budgets everywhere else. We definitely need to doge the state. I saw that Victor Marx picked that up, by the way. He's like, we're going to doge the state of Colorado. It's a good thing that I recorded the conversation that I had in his house so that I could, show that I told him this is what I would do. You want to win this race? You're going to have to doge the state of Colorado. You're going to have to cut 40 to 50% of the budget. Now that ass clown, Vaughn Kennedy, and look, if you're in Colorado and you vote for Vaughn Kennedy or Victor Marx, whatever the hell his name is, if you vote for him now, after all the information that is just a tenth of what is actually out there gets released, then you're a retard or you're complicit. And no, I don't have respect for you, because if you think this is a high school prom contest, and frankly, we're electing some sort of signal head, we're not. We're in big trouble in the state of Colorado, and you're going to put your stuff behind a guy that's a sock puppet that tells you that he had TBIs and tells you he had all these problems and that he has, his wife says he has to kick holes in walls once a year as an anger problem. But he could take a gun away from someone in a staged position really fast. That's the guy you want running in the governor's office. Then you're retarded. So I'm just going to tell you right now, if you believe that you are, and this goes for even leaders like Lauren Boebert, I love you, you're freaking retarded. You stand up for this ass clown, you didn't do your research. That means that you, being in a position inside of Congress, do not have access to adequate information, or you're complicit in putting a piece of shit into the governor's office in the state of Colorado. Say what you want, but Victor Marx is not a good man. Not today, not yesterday. He is not a good man. And it doesn't take anyone, it doesn't take Darcy, right? Or the Kennedys, or anybody else, or Carolyn, or anyone else giving you this information. All you have to do is just open up your eyes and recognize the fact that he doesn't even have a relationship with his own children. Think I'm wrong? Pick up the phone. Be the person that picks up the phone and talk about it. I got so much more to talk about today, and I hope you'll stay with me for it. But I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what's happening in Colorado and how this mimics what's happening in California, in Oregon, and in Washington, and how they're building alliances. See, states are supposed to operate independently. They're not supposed to be able to contact and connect with and build a conspiracy against the United States of America, but that's what's happening. And while your community burns, while our community burns, while black people are incarcerated for petty crimes and criminals are let out on the street, typically illegals that are put back on the street, your tax dollars go towards all of this, and yet only 24% of your kids that graduate aren't dumber than a rock. We'll be right back. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle. Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF Guns. What is DCF Guns, you ask? We're the best damn gun store and range in the universe. Do we have guns? We have all the guns. We got small guns, we got big guns. We even have beastly guns. We offer all types of training, and we have 5 ranges across our 3 locations. I'm a good shot. And of course, we have all types of ammo. We even have flamethrowers. Woo! We offer incredible membership opportunities, and members save even more on guns, ammo, and accessories. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. It's hot. Hey, so by the way, you can go to Honor-Bound USA and you can pick up these coins. I carry one with me a lot. Actually, I carry quite a few in my pocket. I typically give them out to people when I see them. But there's particularly one that I think you should look at, which is the Judges 7, and that is the Gideon 300. And then you have the James 2:26, which is act. You have Galatians 4:16 on one, which is always speak the truth, which is speaking, and then standing, which is 1 John 3:16, which is God gave up his son for us. We must be willing to give up our lives for our brothers and sisters. Anyway, go to Honor-Bound USA and check it out and buy the coins. They're pretty cheap. I think they're a couple bucks a piece now. And I got a new coin that's going to be coming out that you're not going to be getting for a couple bucks. I also want to just plug myself here and let you guys know something. Whether you give $5 or you give $50 or you give the max, which I think is $22.50, you can go to Oltmann 2026, OLTMANN 2026.com, and you can give to the governor's campaign. I will not waste your money. Promise you I will not waste your money. And I'll do good stuff with it, one way or another. So go over there and somebody says I'm losing weight. Yes. I'm gonna get back to my svelte self. That's why I'm having this surgery. So it should be fun. Yeah. Let's talk about children, shall we? Let's talk about the kids. Erin is almost lost her daughter to this transgenderism stuff. And the Colorado is just under siege everywhere. But they're trying to get you, they're trying to say it's not that bad. Don't worry about it. You know, this lackadaisical thing. First of all, people that do that are retarded or evil. Those are your 2 choices, right? Legislative, judicial, executive, local. We've talked about this case before. I want to put this up before because we're going to talk about this. And then I'm going to talk to you about the Christopher Gregory case that we're going to do another expose on. I'm going to hammer on that until the DOJ actually picks up the ball, runs with it, and arrests these pukes. Here's what it says. Meanwhile, in Colorado, the biological male, prostitute, drag queen, child abuser, all facts, not accusations, managed to pass the Tiara's law, allowing anyone who identifies as trans to erase their criminal history. By the way, this is against the national, the federal laws completely. Passed 1312, which makes it illegal to say this person's male name. Now trying to pass the first statewide decriminalization of prostitution. This is who's calling the shots in Colorado. When are Coloradans going to stop it? Go ahead and put that up there. There you go. You see these freaky little pieces of shit right here? Yeah. Tierra Latrice Kelly. Actually, it's a dude. It's a dude from New Mexico. This isn't parody. This is a group trying to pass Tierra's law in the Colorado House. The law will make it easier for trans criminals to change their name, evade identification, and hide their criminal record. It's named after Tierra, a drag queen, convicted felon, and sex worker. RIP, Colorado. And oh, here you go. This is talking about the bill to legalize prostitution. Let's not call it with that, though. Let's just say that it's a bill to make the state of Colorado the pimp for sex workers. And no wonder why we have deviants all over the state abusing kids. In 2025, 39 teachers were arrested for sleeping with children. And I want to show you what's happening in Weld County. A Florida man was sentenced by Weld County judge to 156 years to life in the Department of Corrections. On March 7th, 2024, investigators arrested Kaufman, who traveled from Florida to Colorado after arranging what he thought would be sexual contact with girls aged 10 and 14. His arrest included charges of enticement of a child, internet exploitations of a child, and internet luring of a child. The Sheriff's Office Detective Dale Rosebrock, alongside Homeland Security investigations, dedicated extensive hours to categorizing and documenting materials, while working closely with the Weld County District Attorney's Office to prepare the case for prosecution. Over 1 million images were recovered from Kaufman's phone and personal computer. 3,668 items as child sexual abuse material, an additional 2,452 items as age difficult. On December 4th, 2025, after a trial, Kaufman was found guilty of the following charges. The Sheriff's Office worked to get this case put out there. Now, let me just tell you what the significance of this is. That this is. A majority of child rapists in Colorado receive probation. And with these new laws, it'll make it even more impossible for this monster and monsters like him to be taken off the streets permanently. There you go. There's the sicko right there. A majority of child rapists in Colorado receive probation. Over 70%. Play it.
70% of child rapists in Colorado receive probation-only sentencing. What's worse is a predator can go on to grape 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 children. And as long as they only grape each child one time, they are eligible for probation-only sentencing. HB 25-1073 was going to force jail time for these predators. But apparently the Colorado majority leaders thought that it was more important to protect the child rapists than it was to protect child victims. We need to be a voice for these victims because victims aren't speaking out. This isn't happening far away. This is happening down the street from where you live. HB 25-1073 was my wake-up call. This is your Colorado wake-up call.
We don't hunt together, right? Deviants hunt together. Deviants hang out together. Fathers haven't learned to find their voice yet and grab some stuff and take care of business themselves. Now you wait till it's too late, and then your kid is 41% of the ones that they groom try to commit suicide. 41%. So they groom them, they indoctrinate them, they get them to change their gender, and then they get them to kill themselves. That's the new norm for Colorado and California, and then they get these freaks to sit out there and say, oh, and if you commit a crime, just change your identity, and you no longer have to deal with at all any of the previous history that you have as a criminal. we're in trouble in Colorado. And I hate to take this in that direction to talk about Colorado, because I saw what just happened in Virginia, and we see what's happening in Michigan and Minnesota. And there's a wake-up call happening right now across the country and across the world. And we know who, everyone keeps saying, Joe, you don't know who you're going to be shooting at if it goes to a civil war. We're not headed towards a civil war. I want to be really, really clear. There is no civil war. Police officers, military, they're not on the side of Team Evil. National Guardsmen, those guys, if they are on that side, they're going to have a hard time with a vast majority of those people in those positions that think you could just piss right on off. I was sitting with 2 police officers, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they're like, yeah, we have a tranny in our department. I was like, how do you guys handle it? We won't, he can't go into the women's, he has to change in the bathroom. He can't go in the locker room. And I was like, well, that's weird. Why? I mean, I knew the answer. He goes, you know what? We're done with this bullshit. They said they're done with it. They all talk. You all think that it's just you that's listening that has had enough. No, 99% if 20% of the parents who have the ability to run away from education are taking their kids out of school, and your property tax are tripling, and then they give you back 10 cents on the dollar and say, oh, we're really sorry. We took a little too much. Let's see if we can give you back some of your pain that we can see you're feeling. People are tired. And they don't give a shit about illegals. I don't care about illegals. Don't talk to me about illegals. All you're doing is you're building the hardening of the American people to have a synergy towards each other. Black, brown, white, we don't care. We don't care about race. We care about American ideals, and you're stealing it from us. And you're handing it over to these people who then are basically destroying our very society right before our eyes, and you act like there's nothing we can do about it, where you stuff your face. Well, even Kyle Clark. Now, look, I'm not a fan of Kyle Clark. I'll be the first to say I'm not a fan of him at all. I think, frankly, he pointed out the fact that Griswold lies, but he lies. He bends the truth as he says it, creates a little bit of parody around it. But he called out Griswold for lying. Now, I need you guys to understand that Kyle Clark is not staying at 9 News. He's out. There's no appetite to have a radical leftist inside of 9 News under this new merger agreement that's going to happen in Colorado. Here, Kyle, though, does something, I keep saying, there was a transgender person called Heidi Beadle, Sean Beadle. And Heidi Beadle went back to being Sean Beadle. Basically went back to what they call their dead name. Now, I don't like Sean, Heidi Beadle, whatever you want to call him. His name's Sean Beadle. Like, I'm not a fan, right? Yet when Sean decided to come back and say, I am a man, I'm going by my man name, Sean, and walk away from that transgender thing, whatever you want to call it, I came out and put a post out that says, leave him alone. Because here's a person that has enough courage to stand up and say, I'm going backwards, or I'm going back to where I was. I'm going forwards. Could this be what we're seeing with Kyle? I don't know. And I haven't seen much of Sean Beadle either, so I haven't seen a whole lot of movement in that environment. But I haven't been paying attention either. But something is happening. Like, there is enough courage and enough things out there that's shaking the core of people that they're starting to have a second look at 2 things. One, faith. Where does God sit inside of this community deal? And are they on a pathway that's tied directly to some really bad things? And is what they're being taught true? Well, I don't know. But Kyle decided he was, for once, going to tell the truth about Griswold. And yes, I'll let you look at it. Here you go.
The leading Democratic candidate for Colorado Attorney General is making false claims about her qualifications. Current Secretary of State and AG candidate Jena Griswold claims to have high-level courtroom experience she does not have, raising questions about both her experience and her honesty.
I'm going to take on the billionaires and corporations as Attorney General to protect.
That is Democratic Secretary of State Jena Griswold. She's running for Attorney General. That's Colorado's chief legal officer. And this claim by Griswold about her qualifications.
And in 2024, I followed the Constitution and argued at the Supreme Court that Donald Trump should not be eligible for president.
That claim is not true.
It's not a complicated thing.
It's false. No matter how many times Griswold says it during her campaign for AG, that she argued before the Supreme Court or argued at the Supreme Court, she didn't.
I found the Supreme Court argument exhilarating.
That is 9 News legal analyst Scott Robinson, and this is a certificate of his admission to the Supreme Court bar, where he actually did argue a case and won. Griswold was simply someone being represented in a case before the Supreme Court.
That's a far cry from actually getting to argue in front of the court itself.
When we asked Griswold's campaign why she's making these false claims, they responded with a statement saying, in part, the word argue does not exclusively mean oral argument.
When a lawyer presents an argument in person to the United States Supreme Court, they have argued before or argued at the Supreme Court. Anything else, it's not arguing to the court.
This is the woman who actually argued the case that Griswold is falsely taking credit for arguing before the court.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court.
Colorado Solicitor General Shannon Stevenson. That's her team photo on the day when she, not Jena Griswold, argued before the Supreme Court.
To a lawyer, the terms are entirely crystal clear, perhaps not to the general public.
That may have been true until the public sees this.
Griswold's Democratic primary opponents for AG all have extensive courtroom experience. Michael Doherty is a state and local prosecutor, Boulder County DA. Hetal Doshi is a federal prosecutor, and David Seligman is a consumer attorney. We asked Griswold's campaign if she has ever argued a case in any courtroom. They pointed to one case more than a decade ago, in 2011 or 2012, they said, in the District of Columbia. Records show that Griswold was only admitted to the D.C. bar for the final 5 months or so of that time frame, and Griswold's campaign did not provide details that would allow us to confirm that single case.
Now, we know that Jena Griswold is a piece of trash. We know that she's a liar and that she led with Phil Weasel Weiser to the over 500 days that Tina Peters has been in prison. We know that Tina Peters is ground zero of electoral terrorism against the American people and the people of Colorado specifically. And what they uncovered was nothing short of fraud on the people in every single state that there are machines and mail-in ballots used, which is all 50 states, with fractional voting up in places like Alaska, where they basically can just create any sort of math that cannot be audited that would put whatever they wanted that person to be in that particular office at every level. Whether we're talking about Congress, at the federal level, all the way down to municipal elections that would put mayors in office and things like that. It's a game system. So Colorado's in trouble because the best people we have, the best people that we have are fakers. And I want to point out the fact that this case that they were talking about before the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, that the person that actually argued that case lost 9-0. It was found factually to be a fallacy, that the state of Colorado had created a standard that no person in their right mind would see as even remotely justified, in a position to remove President Trump from the ballot in Colorado. A final step into everything else we've had to deal with in the state of Colorado, from Dominion voting systems being the epicenter of their headquarters here, to Eric Coomer being on Antifa calls, to the rotted machines, to the people like Matt Crane who have stood up and said that Tina Peters at 70 years old should remain in prison, to the pardons, where we had bullies and people from the County Clerks Association all the way down that dared say that Tina Peters should be let out of jail. No, she should spend the rest of her natural life in prison, and she should die there, is what they said. And I want to point out that these are Republicans, these are not Democrats. They call themselves Republicans, but really they're traitors to the people. These are the same seditious betrayers that told us that we have the gold standard when it comes to elections, which we know we don't. These are the same people that have to read from a piece of paper or have speeches performed or placed before them. So they read from papers because they don't have any thoughts of their own. And by the way, if speaking truth was so difficult, it certainly is for politicians and people that are doing things like what they're doing to Tina Peters. But let's switch gears for a minute and let's talk about a guy named Vaughn Kennedy. I'm running for governor of Colorado. Scott Bottoms is running. Barb Kirkmeyer is running. Jason Mikesell is running. There's a few others that are in the race. But I think that kind of circles the serious candidates in this race on the Republican ticket, except for a guy named Victor Marx, a.k.a. Vaughn Kennedy. Now, why am I spending the last bit of my time on the podcast talking about a guy that's running for governor in Colorado? He's raised over $1 million. I happen to break down where the money was actually raised from, and it wasn't from Colorado, but, you know, he still raised $1 million. Now, as you start looking into the people that supposedly donated to him money, that becomes a different problem. But we have to start looking at our candidates seriously. Now, I personally have been attacked for the last 6 years. They pretty much skewered me everywhere, up one side and down the other. I've been called everything in the book. Scott Bottoms is a Navy man that went on to be a pastor, that went on to work in the legislature, do some great things representing his district down in El Paso County. Barb Kirkmeyer worked up north in Weld County, was able to balance the budget, create some really nice roads. They do have nice roads up there, by the way. Moved on to work inside of the Colorado Senate in the legislature as well in Colorado. Doesn't have a very good voting record, but nice person nonetheless. Jason Mikesell, the guy was a sheriff. Before that, he's a business owner. He's involved in other business ventures. He's done some impressive things in his career. Stands up. He's not a partisan hack. Seems to talk eloquently, has some really good ideas. Scott Bottoms, man, the guy has incredible ideas and knows how to get the job done and has to deal with diversified groups inside of his congregation and in his community because of where he's situated down in El Paso County, which gives him a unique look under the hood of the black and brown community, which I think is important to me, personally. The poor community. And it could be, you could be white in that very environment as well. But more importantly, the have-nots. Let's call them the negative have-nots. And it doesn't mean the black and brown people are holistically have-nots. I'm just saying that there's a larger portion of them that are in the have-not community. But I want to start by talking about this. So if you haven't actually looked at Free as Can Be, going through Victor, he had this to say about Vaughn Kennedy, who changed his name way back when, and said he was to protect his personal, his individual persona. Well, that can't be true because he wasn't anything but a scrappy, mentally ill individual that didn't make it through a full term in the Marines, who wasn't called Thumper because he liked to fight. He was called Thumper because he was Thumpy, because he was just kind of a douchebag. Sorry, that's the truth. From one of his own people. Let's go ahead and play this.
And he had you on his deal. They're using you. Mm-hmm. They don't appreciate you. They're using you to get to me.
Nobody appreciates me because nobody's put money in my bank account.
But okay, now let's.
Well, don't get me
Here's the last thing I want to say. The interview is. I don't care about the interview. I don't need the interview.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What I need is you. Mm-hmm. This is why. You said, what are you going to do to win the black community, Latino? Mm-hmm. That's the man that I want to help me win this. For the general, not the primary. I care less. Primary's done. I need someone who's going to.
So there's a lot of people that said that I lied and I made things up and I wasn't being honest. The truth is I don't even care about this because I know the difference between being used and actually being appreciated. Victor Marx doesn't appreciate someone like me. He only sees me as a ticket that can help him win. And I'm not going to associate with someone like that because it's absolutely disgusting. Not only that, but it's very, I don't know, it makes me feel like he's a Democrat because that's what Democrats do. And that's also why I left the Democratic Party. Now, I get it. You guys aren't going to say sorry and there's not going to be a bunch of apologies. But the truth is that all I care about is finding out what the truth is. And that's why my wife and myself went unarmed, without our phones, into a compound with a person like Victor Marx. So, yeah, there's your proof. Have a great day.
All right. So let's walk through this, Victor. I always I always like to say, what is Victor Marx doing right now? He is controlling the environment that he's in, trying to create some sort of Hollywood mystique. But the reality of it is, it came out of nowhere after Charlie died, made up a story about his daughter being touched by a man in a car. Now you have the Colorado Springs PD looking into these claims that landed a man in jail. And I'm not saying the guy shouldn't have gone to jail. He was a serial masturbator in cars. He did that. But he stayed in his car. The story changed, and then people were, again, Victor Marx can't keep up with it. He can't keep up with the stories. Shot someone at 7 years old. Then we reached out to try and figure out, where it is that then his father was some sort of drug lord, part of organized crime. That's not true. I mean, look, nothing is true. It's just not true. He didn't save 43,000 women and children. Now he says that he served 45,000 women and children. Well, those are two different things. It's kind of like Jenna Griswold lying about the fact that she argued before the Supreme Court. Then there's the tens of millions of dollars. I wouldn't say hundreds of millions of dollars. Tens of millions of dollars that Victor Marx raised and saying that he was out there actually saving women and children. That's what he said. Only that's not true either. And if you look at the money that he raised, almost all of it, minus 11%, which, by the way, that went towards his personal expenses and flying and doing stuff too, a part of the programs. Only 11% of those tens of millions of dollars went towards programs. The other 89% went for him to eat. And then he sold his house, an $800,000, whatever you want to call it, I don't even know if it's a compound. It's an old house built in the 70s and a barn behind it. I'm not kidding, by the way. That's what it is. And he sold it to his nonprofit to be able to suck out like $2.5 million. It's an $800,000 house. You say, Joe, how do you know it's only an $800,000 house? Because I live in a $2.5 million house. Caught me. I can be honest about it. I live in a nice house. I know what a $2.5 million house looks like. And it certainly isn't in the middle of the woods with a 1970s house with a barn with a half-functional shooting range inside and a podcast room. That's not worth $2.5 million. So everything is a grift for this. And then you talk about the Holly deal, and he went up to Canada and he smuggled her across the border. That's a crime. And then he used her to write emails and email campaigns to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. And she never saw a dollar of it. It went to him. And then he stopped her from leaving to go back up there. And here's another fun fact. His kids don't talk to him. His daughter said that he abused her for 17 years. Even if it's partially true, Even if he says, oh, she's bipolar, so she doesn't know what she's talking about. Well, let's talk about that too. Here's a man that was on TV in an interview. He was so hungry, man. He was hungry to be the man. He's the fastest guy to take away a gun, a plastic gun. But he went on TV and he said, I've done all these things. But there's not one person has come forward to say that that's even true. Not one person. And there's plenty of people. His kids do not even talk to him. Go check it out. Go to Shiloh Marks' site. I went to all the socials. Not one word about Victor Marks. Why? And Shiloh does some amazing things when it comes to elections. I'm very familiar with what he's done in California. The fact that he's standing up and making a name for himself. I mean, there's other problems that his family has with, stuff like evictions and foreclosures and everything else, and that's fine. I mean, the bad shit happens to people. And none of that's actually that important to me. But telling the truth is important to me. And then he has a guy that carries around a suitcase with some sort of weapon and acts like he has to have armed security around him, and he's got all this intelligence. And I mean, you should have seen the interview that he did with Free, or the sit down he did with Free. And he basically belittled him and then came out and said, oh, I need you to help me win the brown and black vote. Well, if you did all of this work that you said you did, you should know the black and brown community. I certainly do. And you can say, Joe, you just want to win. And you want a guy that you want to talk badly about a guy that's a rising star. I have a tech company. Well, it took me about 5 minutes to look into Victor Marks when it came to just his Facebook profile. He's got 1.9 million people that follow him on Facebook. About 83% of those people are all fake. They're not real. And you can do it too. Go out there and run a thing on, you can just go to Google and say, trends on Facebook. And go back a year and look at it. You'll have to pay for it. It's like $5. You have to look at the trends, and it goes from 200,000 to 2 million, like overnight. And he created this flamboyant story that his daughter was, abducted by someone in a parking lot, and it's just nuts. And the story that he was 7 years old and he shot his dad came up behind him and made him pull the trigger and shot the guy in the head. Then there's the other stories that says that he's bipolar and he has a level 3 brain injury. It's his words, not mine. His words. Well, how does a guy that's bipolar run for race? And then he says, well, I got fixed, right? I'm no longer bipolar. And he uses Jesus as a foundation for everything that he says. I'm the dangerous gentleman. It is like a story out of central casting like you've never seen before. And he came out of nowhere after Charlie died. Came out of nowhere. I had never heard of him. People were like, oh, I heard of him. He was in this, he did this thing, and he was Dobson's right hand. Well, I knew Dobson back in, Focus on the Family back in 2002. I don't ever remember seeing the guy. I was there. I was also there in 2003 and 2004 when we had the Million Man March for Christ and Promise Keepers. I was a part of Promise Keepers for a long time, donor to Promise Keepers for a long time. I knew Mike McCartney. I knew I was involved in those circles, helped them build stuff and do stuff in the early 2010, 2011 area. Never heard of him. I mean, not even a peep. And keep in mind, when I first came out, I went to go visit with him, and I sat down with Victor Marks. Look, I want people to do their research, because I've seen other stuff that I'm not going to bring up on this deal, and I know that the Democrats have it. And people get mad at me and they say, oh, I can't believe you're attacking Victor Marks, and they put up Victor Marks on top of their page, and they get so committed to the football team of Victor Marks and that he's going to do good. But the guy literally can't show up to anything, and he was going to come on my show, and he told Lynn in an email that I need the questions up front. You can't deviate from the questions. You can only ask those questions. I mean, think about the type of person. By the way, there's never been a time that somebody has predetermined, told me what the questions are. I was on a podcast last night with Jason Lupo. It'll come out I think it comes out today or it came out yesterday. I don't know. But I was on another one that comes out Thursday that's called The Daily Carry, I think. The Daily Carry, yeah. I did a 2-hour deal that no question is off limits, so they could ask whatever they wanted from me. I didn't care. You can ask me anything. If I don't answer it, if you give me a gotcha question like, "Oh, did you call for the killing of Paulus?" I'll be like, "No, I called for accountability, tried for treason. If he's found guilty, I hope that little prick hangs by his neck until he's dead, 2 inches off the ground." Why? Because he's just as bad as the whatever it is, the Ayatollah. Only what he does is he smiles while he kills and does bad things to the same community he says he represents. He's just a terrible person, advocates for pedophiles and rapists, and wants to be a pimp for prostitutes. Yeah, that's the perfect guy we should have inside of the office in Colorado, as he steals the voices of people. I sat in front of Victor Marx in his own room, in his own house. And I asked him questions. I'm like, "So what are you going to do? What's your platform?" And he couldn't articulate it. And so I had to articulate it for him. And I was like, "Listen, the first thing you have to do is you have to doge Colorado. You've heard me say this a long time ago that this has to happen. I've said it on this 9 months ago. But I sat in front of him and I said, if you don't doge Colorado, you have a problem on your hands. You can cut the budgets by 40 to 50%. I talked about this yesterday. I've written out this entire plan of how do we doge Colorado and how do we stop all this grift and graft that is then being used against us and weaponized against us as people in our communities. So he went on Benny's show. Now I want you to pay attention what he says on Benny's show. And it should tell you everything you need to know when CIA Benny is the guy that's having the interviews, and he goes to Mike Flynn, he goes to all these different people and gets these endorsements because he makes himself a shiny object, and Lauren Boebert knows everything about him. She already knows. I'm not the only one with access to a file. And the stuff that leaked out is not even nearly close to being even the worst part of it. Play it.
There is something almost immoral about taking the raw natural beauty of the gateway to the west in those Rockies and then plundering it into piss-soaked tent cities with hypodermic needles and crime and criminal aliens littering the streets of Denver, which has been hollowed out downtown. I just couldn't believe how few stores and restaurants there were there anymore. It is a pure evil, actually, to do that. It is a desecration of something that God created to bring such filth and disorder and decay. How are you going to fix that, Victor?
Well, it's through common sense. I tell people safety is our first, because without safety and security, nothing else matters. And I'm simply going to unhandcuff law enforcement to let them do their job. We're going to make sure we have prosecutors who prosecute. I'm going to appoint judges who have a backbone. And we're going to change the entire climate and the culture of what Colorado used to be. Gritty people full of grace. But these far-leaning, extreme left progressives came in. And Coloradans are good folks. I mean, this is the promised land when you talk about it having everything. And they trusted people. Well, they're done with that. They're absolutely done. Right now, regulations are so severe on businesses, it is choking out the small business to the rancher to somebody doing ag to corporations. There's over 200,000 regulations on the book. And the Chamber of Commerce says half aren't even needed or they're duplicative. So we let law enforcement do their job. We cut back on regulations. And then I'm doing a full doge on the state, complete audit of all the agencies. We're starting day one with this, and we're going to find out where the waste is. And look, a lot of people are going to be replaced. They're going to get their feelings hurt, but it's time because the money, it's not a money issue in Colorado. It's a spending and accountability issue. And that's why people are putting their trust in us. My website is victor2026.com. And we just encourage people, go there, sign up, be part of what's called a movement, not an election.
So Benny Benny, I want you to be honest with the people. I'm going to call you out, Benny. Be honest with the people. You had to send him the questions. And he was reading the answers. That's the reality. If you were to ask him a question anywhere, he was asked, are you pro-life or are you pro-choice? And he got irritated and agitated. You could see him he has this thing where he has to be in a controlled environment, because if he's not in a controlled environment, he loses his shit. I talked to a couple friends of his that he'd known him for a long time. And they're like, Victor is like a walking time bomb. Their words, not mine. I talked to a guy that actually is involved in rescue, did over 900 missions. He's going to be on this show in a couple weeks. His words are, the guy couldn't be trusted to run a piggy bank or to hold on to a piggy bank, let alone look after and run for public office. He's incoherent. You're going to have him, I'm going to ask him the questions right on here. I didn't just flippantly come to this idea. Look, me being governor or not being governor, having Victor Marx in that seat is like having a controlled apparatus, like a dead man walking, like a Biden in that office. It is no different. It's like having a Jared Polis, which, by the way, his name was Schultz, not Polis. He changed his name too. We never seem to get to the bottom of the people that we put in elected office. They come out of nowhere and say, I'm the best man for the job. We have a movement. We're going to do this stuff. I'm going to doge it. I'm going to put this people, we're going to put judges in place and prosecutors. He doesn't understand the complexities of what's going on. He couldn't have a conversation about those complexities on a one-on-one. That's why he runs away from interviews, and only these questions are the ones you're allowed to answer. How do I know? Because he was coming on here and he said, you can only ask these questions. I need to know the questions in advance. He made all the rules. We need someone that can walk into office and understand that the things that have to be done in Colorado are going to take drastic action. Doging is not the same thing as restoring the ethos of the nation. Which, by the way, he took the Doge from me. I said, you have to Doge the state. And he spent a lot of time kind of walking through this, refining some sort of message. But if you were to ask the guy a question, he's going to go into some debates. If you were to ask him some really hard questions, he couldn't answer them. He could not answer them. I'm not sure he's capable of answering any question outside of his handlers. And the things that this guy represents is kind of like it'd be like giving the keys to the kingdom to a sociopath. And by the way, I did read his book. I read his book. I wanted to read it so I could understand who the guy is. And now I know he didn't write the book. He didn't write the book. Somebody wrote a book for him. So you have this whole thing. Who's donating to him? Well, about 9% of the people out there, 8% are people from Colorado. Everyone else is from every other state that he used his network of I'm saving women and children and the idea that he's actually fighting for trafficking women and children, which he wasn't. And I'm not saying there's two things that can happen to be true at the same time. One, he could literally walk in and talk to young men that are in jiu-jitsu and in these environments and give them a pep talk that leads them in a positive direction. That can be true. While also recognizing that the empty shell of a man that literally has no ability and no talents to do anything outside of that. You can't talk about being bipolar, having a level 3 brain injury, and then say something along the line they were able to cure that. I don't even know what a level 3 brain injury is, though, because it doesn't exist. It's not a scale that's ever used. So I'm just asking you to do one thing in Colorado. Don't make a mistake that we can't undo, because this election in Colorado is everything for the future of the state. And cutting the budget by $20 billion will be really easy. Super easy. But getting back to the place where we can take care of the people in our communities and deregulation, yeah. It's easy when you sit around and listen to the points that are being talked about by myself and Kirkmeyer, and let me lubricate on that. Let me lucubrate. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments. What did I say? Did I say Benny? Did I say something else? Benny. Oh, you did. Okay. Jeff says, Benny is a Zionist shill, speaking of coming out of nowhere. And so smug, always focused on looking pretty. Yeah, well, look, most of them do. I haven't even started talking about Steve Bannon and the fact that he talked about basically a coup against President Trump while hanging out with his little butt boy. We don't want to talk about him, by the way. I see all these posts about Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Obama, but we don't talk about the people that are on our side that are basically betrayers. And Benny did come out of nowhere. See, I didn't come out of nowhere. I spent 6 years fighting on this and 14-year business, and before that I was in another business, and I've been serving the community for a long time. I've been playing flag football and working with felons and volunteering and sitting on boards and doing all the things that I'm supposed to do in order to serve my community. This is just crazy. Okay, let's put that up. We're gonna end with this. I did a show on the Daily Carry. If you haven't seen it, it's go check it out. So this is an episode. It's a couple hours long. It got pretty emotional with me because one of the guys, Micah, who's one of the hosts, he talked. Micah Richards. He talked on it about personal things that he faced, that he was molested as a child, and I feel I have a lot of pain in my heart for people that go through vulnerable situations. And when I was growing up, I had a bunch of vulnerable situations that I went through, and overcoming that is very difficult. It's not easy. Anyone that thinks it's easy, it's just not. And I'm sure many people that are on here have had vulnerable things. But this was a great conversation. We got to talk about Victor Marx a little bit too. And they asked questions, and I said, well, two things can be true. And then, Victor Marx put up the deal where he was basically attacking Scott Bottoms for the stuff having to do with the FBI and dealing with the DOJ on pedophiles inside of our legislature and the judiciary and the executive office in Colorado, the governor's office, currently. And Victor said a bunch of stuff in there. And I want you to pay attention to someone. Mike has spent a lot of time in law enforcement. And I was like, he played it. And I said, stop. And I said, that's not how the FBI operates. And Micah said, nope, it's not. And I was like, I'm telling you. And then they finally started to look at it and go, oh, it looks like ChatGPT wrote this for him. It's not what Victor Marx would say. Compare the things that get put out in these press releases to the way that Victor Marx talks. Victor Marx can barely put his sentences together. I need you to understand what you're actually advocating for. You want something that you're not going to get from Victor Marx if you're in Colorado. You're not going to get it. And he does not have a huge amount of enthusiasm. He has a Colorado GOP, which is violating every bylaw in the book, in order to give him access to information. You have dark money and people that have sat on the sidelines that are rhinos and really bad people. They are the ones that are telling you this is your candidate. Should that bother you? 1,000% it should bother you. Run the other direction. Because embracing the new suck as a new suck is never going to get us to a place where we actually get to doge the government. You can't do it. The apparatus is too big. And the fact that he's pretending to be someone that he isn't, with the intelligence to even understand what's in front of him, now he'd call a lid to his day around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You are not talking about a guy that is smart enough to get himself out of a paper bag, let alone run for governor. Sorry, it doesn't exist. Rich had to go there, didn't you? So here's Rich. Rich said this. I want to talk about how conservative influencers are closet homos. I swear, self-loathing facts. Just identify as queer. I have no time for comos like that. He says, if you're married and have a wife and children, you made a bed. You made a vow. Don't run around on your wife. I don't care who it is with. Rich, are you gonna drop some bombs on us? Like, what's the guy's name? Help me. What's the guy's name? Help me. The guy that James O'Keefe. What else did he say? Project Veritas. You get a Project Veritas? Many are not. Many are in these open relationships. Nope. So Rich, by the way, is the one that I interviewed. He is Gays Against Groomers, done some great stuff in the state of Colorado. Really good to see him join us. Has done some incredible things to help children in the state of Colorado. I mean, massively good things to help children in Colorado. So hats off to you, Rich, for sure. All right, so that's it. We're gonna pray that we can actually get the Save America Act done, Save Act done. We need that act passed. Scott rocked that information Victor Marks used as a talking point. After Scott brought it up, Victor steals narratives too. Yeah, he stole a lot of narratives. He stole a lot of things that have been done. Matter of fact, he mentioned the $6 billion in entitlements. I'm like, how did you know about that? Because I'm dealing with employees inside of the state of Colorado. They can get in a lot of trouble for sharing information with me. $6 billion of the budget, 40% is entitlements. $6 billion of the budget goes to nonprofits without any accountability, strings tied, anything else. It's just gone. They don't even know how the money's used. Now, the ones that are actually doing the work, this is true, by the way, absolutely true. The ones that are really doing the work in order to turn things around and create trade schools and solve the homeless issue and deal with the recidivism that we have in the prison systems and getting men specifically out of jail. I don't know about women. I don't work on that side of the aisle. But those things that are being done, those organizations are never given adequate resources because they're actually getting the work done. True story. So it's man. Still, Joe for governor. Scott Bottoms is nice. I think he can believe he can step in and kick. I can't believe he can step in and kick ass like Joe can. Look, I don't know of anyone that can do, and I'll just use my own company as an example. We lost 88, 89% of our revenue literally over the years that I was not here. I came back in. We were able to increase that by nearly 300%, literally overnight. So there's a bunch of stuff we've been able to do. I'm kind of the pink unicorn. But here's the thing that I will tell you. Scott will fight for the people. I will fight for the people. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is how collectively on the Republican side we can make sure that the person that is not sitting in that seat is a Republican, someone that will just do the biddings of the intelligence community and really bad people who want to continue this charade against the people of Colorado. They want to continue what they started in Colorado. With Palantir leaving and with a bunch of other organizations, including Boeing, Jeppesen, I can go down the line of other organizations that are looking to leave Colorado. It is on the horizon that Colorado could end up a desert where the only thing you have left is regulations and a bunch of poor people and a budget that just slides down to zero. That's where we're headed right now. Randy says, when a dog hurts a child, we put it down. Why not people? Randy, I'm with you. I mean, personally for me, I would tie a rope to the back of my car, tie it to the person, and drive them around until body parts fall off. And if that's violent to you, then you don't understand the outcome of what happens to a child when they are abused by someone in a position of trust, or even when they are raped or molested, or that's something they carry with them for the rest of their life. It's a life sentence. So don't tell me I have to feel bad for pedophiles, because I don't. And I frankly believe that they should be filleted. And I don't feel bad about saying that. I know vengeance belongs to the Lord, but the consequences are ours. All right. That's who's backing Bottoms in Base County. Who is? Who's backing Bottoms? Oh, I don't know. Okay, so let's pray it out, shall we? Let's do this though, just for your sake. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Go to Oltmann 2026. Donate to the campaign. You can go to Honor Bound USA. We've got a couple new sponsors that are going to be joining us here over the next month or so. I'm pretty terrible at it, and I decided I want to make the same mistake twice. Somebody asked me, Joe, where do I go buy gold? I'm like, I'll send you my supplier. Just buy gold and silver directly from them. It's super easy. I tried the big company deal, and I just can't. Like, look, if you would have bought when I told you guys to buy during that program, your money would be worth 3 times what it was when I told you to buy it. Don't feel bad. But now take that money, if you put it in there, I want you to sideline it. I want you to take all that money out. I want you to cash it out and put it aside. I want you to get a self-directed IRA, and I want you to start taking care of your own self. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so what I'm telling you to do right now is as risky as you're willing to be risky. But this is what I do. Okay, put it on the sidelines, and then we'll start having conversations about things that I want you to look into. Now, that will not be a sponsor. That'll be me having conversations with you and bringing on people that are economists so I can help you guys put more money in your pocket. That's what I'd like to do. Okay, make sure you go to that video with the Daily Carry podcast. Any other housekeeping I need to do, guys? Damon? All right. Share us today. Share us everywhere. Man, I know there's something else I was supposed to say. Is there anything I was supposed to say? Am I missing something? No? Okay, let's go. Father God, thank you for the incredible people we have on my team, for the incredible opportunities you put in front of us. Thank you for the time that we have to be born at a time such as this, to be able to serve you, Father. Thank you for just the amazing ability of restoration. We just look at it right now, and it's fantastic, this fire that's been lit inside of the community. And it's not just here in the United States. We saw it in Ireland. We saw it in New Zealand. We see it in Australia and the UK. But people are in a desperate place where they want to be able to honor you, Father, while pursuing accountability, pursuing consequences for the evil that has been just pushed on our children and our grandchildren, and creating this havoc, this sense of oppression and enslavement. We also recognize, Father, that we're going to go through trials, and that we're going to have to set aside petty differences, and we're going to have to accept people where they are, while setting standards for how our children are taught and what is acceptable in our communities, where we can reject the ridiculous idea that there's more than two genders and get back to a biblical foundation of how we operate as people. Father, I just ask you to bless our leaders. Bless President Trump, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Bobby Kennedy, and even the ones that I'm just not that keen on. I know that everything has its plan, everything has its time. But Father, we feel like we're running out of time. And yet, in the middle of this, I just feel like this calmness that we're going to be okay. Help us, Father, we can continue to stand up, that our leaders can make good decisions, that other people in other countries can also stand up and take back their communities, take back their environments, to eliminate this slave culture that we have globally. Help us to honor you, Father, and to do what is right regardless of the consequences. And help us to operate with humility. I say these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. God bless you, Susan Rice, the good Susan Rice. Rich, it's good to see you. Like I said, this is a great group. You should find your way over here 5 days a week. We're here Monday through Friday, 2 o'clock Mountain Time, 4 o'clock Eastern. We go for 2 hours. Use your discernment. Don't ever stand on the side of the devil, not even for a minute. Don't put your foot in there. Don't dip your toe in the water. Always do what's right. Yeah, that's it. All right, I'll see you guys later. God bless you. Be good.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Argentina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call, truth and freedom. rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong. Opportunity for you, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam. Reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Coomer's fraud dominions, rig design, expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Rise up untamed, in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits high. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever